Every great revolution starts the same way, not with applause, not with consensus, but with discomfort. People almost never realize when the world is changing. They only notice later, when it's already too late to choose sides calmly. That's how electricity replaced candles. That's how cars replaced horse-drawn carriages. That's how money stopped being metal and became paper. In every one of those transitions, most people said the same thing. This won't last. It's too risky. The old system works. And the old system always works, until the day it suddenly doesn't. Today, almost no one carries cash. Transfers happen in seconds. Banks fit inside a phone. The younger generation is born without attachment to bills, branches, or waiting in line. And still, many people insist that nothing is changing. But real revolutions don't ask for permission. They move forward in silence, while the debate stays stuck in the past. And that's exactly why this isn't a discussion about technology. It's a discussion about power, about control, about who defines the rules. When the world decides to change eras, every time a financial revolution emerges, the first reaction is never curiosity. It's defense. When digital banks appeared, they said they weren't safe. When Pix was launched, they said no one would trust it. When cash started disappearing from wallets, they said it was just a phase. But notice the pattern: the more the system tries to discredit something, the more it reveals fear of losing relevance. Every year, less physical money circulates. Payments cross borders instantly. Transfers ignore banking hours. Generation Z doesn't ask which bank to use. They ask which app solves it faster. This isn't ideology, it's behavior. And behavior always changes, before the official narrative does. The traditional financial system was built for a slow world. A world of paper, of intermediaries, of manual approvals, of forced trust. Cryptocurrencies are born in a different world, a digital world. Instant, global, where trust isn't promised, it's verified. That's why the real debate was never, is crypto good or bad? The real question is this: who controls the flow of money when the world no longer slows down? Fiat works as long as people accept the rules. Crypto works even when no one asks for permission. And every system that depends on collective obedience to keep existing starts to shake when voluntary alternatives appear. History shows this again and again, not through speeches, but through silent migration. And that's where the financial revolution stops being theory and becomes inevitable. No financial revolution was ever officially announced. It always started as something small, almost irrelevant. When electricity appeared, candles were said to be more reliable. When cars appeared, horses were said to be safer. When central banks gained power, they said it would bring stability. Every transition was treated as a threat until it became the standard. And here's the most important detail: the old system never fell because someone destroyed it. It fell because people stopped depending on it. The American Revolution didn't start with gunshots. It started when the colonies realized they worked, produced, and paid without controlling their own destiny. Today, the parallel is clear. We work in currencies that lose value. We save in systems that change the rules. We depend on intermediaries that decide who can or can't access their own money. That doesn't create instant rebellion. It creates silent discomfort. Cryptocurrencies don't emerge as a frontal attack. They emerge as a side exit. No vote required, no permission asked, no utopia promised. Just a functional alternative. And that's how revolutions win. Not by convincing everyone, but by offering an option to those who are already tired. When a young person prefers to solve everything on a phone, instead of dealing with lines, fees, and schedules, that isn't rebellion. It's efficiency. When people send value without banks, without borders, and without authorization, that isn't protest, it's evolution. The financial revolution doesn't happen when the last skeptic changes their mind. It happens when the old system realizes it's no longer indispensable, and when that moment arrives, no speech can reverse it. Every true revolution shares one thing in common. It doesn't ask for authorization to exist. It starts small, it's ignored, then mocked. And when it's finally fought, it's already too late. The current financial system isn't under attack. It's being bypassed. Not because people hate banks, but because they no longer want to depend on them for everything. The generation growing up with Pix, digital wallets, and mobile banking doesn't see money as something physical. They see it as flow. And when money becomes flow, the question changes. It's no longer, who holds my money? It becomes, who controls the rules? Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies don't promise comfort. They promise something far more dangerous. To old systems, the choice to exit, the choice to decide, the choice not to depend. That's why resistance exists. Not because the technology doesn't work, but because it works without asking permission. Just like in American independence, the real conflict wasn't about war. It was about sovereignty. Today, the debate isn't about price, not about charts, not about hype. It's about who writes the rules of money. In the next chapter of history, most people only recognize revolutions after they've already won. Others see them earlier. Not because they're smarter, but because they pay attention to patterns. And history is clear. When an alternative is more efficient, more accessible, and more resilient, it doesn't need to convince everyone. It only needs to exist. History always repeats. The only question is this: which side of the transition are you on? When the new stops being an alternative and becomes the standard? If this video helped you see the financial revolution, beyond the noise, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't react to the future. We recognize the signals before it arrives. And now tell me in the comments directly, do you think cryptocurrencies are still a promise? Or are they already the beginning of the next financial revolution?